So I don't really talk about sports much on this channel, if ever. But today I'm wearing my New York Knicks hat, which I have yet to wear. I got this a couple months ago. It's kind of like that old school 90s design. And I'm a massive New York Knicks fan. I watch almost every game, if not every game. And we are good. Well, I mean, we're 20-15 this year, which sounds like, you're mediocre. But we have built, some people probably landing on this channel like, why is this guy talking about this? But I don't know. Little sports, 2 minutes on my sports affiliations or connections. So the Knicks had a huge win last night, beat the Philadelphia 76ers by 30 points. Sixers are one of the best teams in the NBA. It was really fun to watch. I have been very fortunate in the teams that I have followed. I'm originally from New Jersey, and I've been a lifelong Knicks and Yankees fan, or fan of both of those teams. And in football, my team is the Pittsburgh Steelers. So when we were kids, Lane, my older brother Lane, said that in football we could select whatever team we wanted. He went with the San Diego Chargers, then San Diego Chargers, now LA Chargers, which I don't think they're the same team, being in LA. And I went with the Pittsburgh Steelers. So I made some good picks. I had initially been an LA Lakers fan and was like hardcore, watched, during the Magic Kareem years. And I asked Lane permission to switch to the Knicks. And he had to give it some thought, and then he allowed it. So that's why I'm wearing the Knicks cap. But this video, had no plans to do a video this weekend, but was just sort of skipping around YouTube as I wait for the Steelers to play in an hour and a half. Huge Steelers game against Baltimore Ravens. And I saw Todd at Lost Mixtapes, a video he did on ticket memories. I think he just did 2 tickets that he had and told the stories of those shows. And I love that idea. I know I've done some like random ticket pulls, I think, years ago. And maybe a year ago during COVID, a little project, I took most of my tickets and put them in these 2 little books that I bought on Amazon or something. So I'm gonna do 4 or 5. I don't know what I'm gonna call this video. Maybe I'll just call it the New York Knicks to confuse people. It'll be something around tickets. But I am going to just open these books and grab a few, sort of like Mazzy's, what does he call it when he grabs random CDs? I don't know, it's like his potpourri thing. So let me get started. I'll just tell a brief story about the show. Hopefully I pick some good ones. Whack-a-mole, that's Mazzy's thing. All right, first ticket. I didn't go to this show. Sunday, no, it's Jason Isbell at the Ryman Auditorium in 2014. I bought the ticket, but ended up not going. So we're gonna pass on that one because I wasn't there. I don't have a story to tell. All right, number 2. Oh, this is a good one. Loose Fur. So Loose Fur at St. Anne's Warehouse, December 7th of 2002. For those of you who don't know who Loose Fur is, it's a bit of a super group. It's Jeff Tweedy and Glenn from Wilco, along with Jim O'Rourke. I think it's just the 3 of them. I think they only played a few shows ever. This was right after Yankee Hotel Foxtrot, so Wilco had sort of jettisoned from being sort of an alt-country darling into an indie rock sort of powerhouse. Excuse me. But Loose Fur, I believe they put out 2 records. I have it, on vinyl, at least the first one. And this show was tremendous. St. Anne's Warehouse, I've only been to once. And I've shared the story that I almost went there a second time to see Joe Strummer, but I had to pass on that because I had a dinner date with my girlfriend at the time in Brooklyn, and Joe Strummer died, I believe, 6 months later. Never got to see Joe Strummer. One of my bigger regrets, musical regrets. But Lucifer, they were just tremendous. If you can, the great Wilco song, Laminated Cat, also called Not for the Season, appears on the first Lucifer record. One of the best songs Jeff Tweedy's ever written. Some days I argue it's his best song. Didn't even make a Wilco proper record. But I remember this night vividly, and I can't believe it's 21, almost 22 years ago. No, just over 21 years ago. I remember there was a bunch of us. There was like, St. Anne's had like this grandstand in the background, and the rest was just like a warehouse, as it's called, St. Anne's Warehouse. And we went to a bar afterwards, and a bunch of like the people in Wilco's camp showed up. I think Tony Margarita was there, Wilco's former manager, and I think I begged him for a job, which he hadn't. That was not the first time he had heard from me. I had sent Tony Margarita a bunch of letters, like not a bunch, like 2, pleading to work for Tony Margarita Management when Wilco left such an impression on my life. John Sturrett, I believe, was there. I don't think Tweedy was there. I don't know. Tweedy was done with bars or drinking by then, and I don't recall him being there. I don't know if Jim O'Rourke was, but there were other folks, and it was just such a fun time. I was with my buddy Brian and my buddy Neil, and it was just a blast. So that's the first one, Lucifer, which I think really meant Lucifer. I think that's what they called it, Lucifer. You probably already picked up on that. All right, let's go with one more. We'll do 3 or 4. All right, what's this? Sorry, it's sticking. This isn't the only band I've ever seen. Jeff Tweedy and Jay Bennett at the Mercury Lounge, November 23rd, 1997. This is just a couple weeks after my 24th birthday. Tremendous show. Jay Bennett, as you all know, I named my dog Bennett after Jay Bennett. And I don't know if I shared on here, but my dog passed away in October. I can't remember if I shared here. And I've been missing him a lot the last few days. Maybe it's like post-holidays and like just everyone's getting back to normal lives. And I miss having him around here. He was almost 15, and he was just, as I told a bunch of, I went to 4 veterinarians to make sure I was making the right decision, because I could just sense that he was ready to go, and all 4 agreed. So I miss him terribly. Here, I'll show you something real quick. This is probably my favorite, as we all do with our dogs, right? We have 10,000 photos. I think I have 9,000 photos in my Photos app on Bennett. But this is one of my favorites. And when I put him down, I have a copy of this on my wall. When I put him down, I gave this to the local coffee shop. A coffee shop that I've always had a little bit of mixed feelings about. The coffee's not great, but the people are nice. And it's the only coffee shop it's the only one that's walking less than a mile. And they gave it back to me and I said, no, it's just a gift to you. And they gave it back. Said something about it being depressing. It was weird. So I am going to give it to Bennett's dog walker, because I love this picture and she was so good to him. So Ezra, if you're watching this, that picture will be coming your way. The Tweety Bennett, I just remember they did a string of shows. They did them in Chicago, New York, I think the Old Town School, whatever that is in Chicago. They played a gig there, and I have a copy of that on CD. The Mercury Lounge show was just tremendous because they were just in such lockstep then. Bennett had just recently joined the band. I think this was after Being There was released. Yeah, Being There was 96, so this was in between Being There and Summer Teeth. It was, when I saw Jeff Tweedy back then, it was like I was seeing Bob Dylan in the 60s. Like, just a remarkable pairing that you sort of knew it wasn't going to last forever. So it obviously lasted from, what, late 95 until the Grant Park show on July 4th, 2001. I think that was the date. And then after that show, whatever happened, right, Bennett was no longer in the band. And as much as I love Wilco, 22, 23 years later, seen him a million more times, they were never, again, what they were with Jay Bennett. Wilco's peak period, I think any Wilco fan will say, was Being There, Summer Teeth, Yankee Hotel Foxtrot. That is a run of 3 perfect, if not perfect, near perfect records. All 3 of those could be in my top 20 of all time. And then A Ghost Is Born came after, which I've never been the fan of that record that a lot of Wilco fans are. A lot of Wilco fans consider that their best record. I think it's good, maybe like a 8.3. I'm gonna do this. Being There, I would give a 9.5. Summer Teeth, I would probably give a 9.3. Yankee Hotel Foxtrot, I would give a 10. And then this is just turning into a Wilco video, don't they all? That was Jay Bennett and Jeff Tweedy in New York City at the Mercury Lounge, where I saw a million shows and have some stories that I could tell. Sorry, I looked. So let's go back to this book. I'll do 1 or 2 more. I keep saying that. Just do them and be quiet. Oh, picking some good ones. The White Stripes at, where was this? The White Stripes at, this is at the Bowery, I think. Yeah, the Bowery Ballroom, not long before, or just a few months, 6 months before the Tweedy Bennett show. April 6, 2002, with Brendan Benson and the Incidentals and King Congo and Pink Monkeys. Don't know who either of those openers are, but I do remember the White Stripes were the kind of, this is when 2002, like early, this is when I had such an attitude about music, right? I was like, everything I like is the best. Like, I remember my good buddy Brian, who I reference a lot, a buddy from college, he was into a lot more, or more, like, was it esoteric, or the Drag City stuff, was really into Bill Callahan, Smog, Will Oldham, Palace. And I didn't like any of that stuff back then. It was too, I think it was probably too intellectual for me. I don't know. And now some of my favorite stuff ever, right? And I would say alt country, I still listen. It is the genre that defines my musical life, no doubt about it, and probably always will be. Same with my brother Lane, same with my brother John. We found that genre and that was it. But I would say in the past 5 to 10 years, I listened to it a lot less. I'm definitely in much more of an exploratory phase, getting into jazz, a lot of ambient music, which is very helpful for my anxiety at times. Getting back into the Grateful Dead, soul music, trying to get back into hip hop. But back to this show, The White Stripes. So I have a good story that precedes this show. I think it was 1999. It was my first South by Southwest. I went to South by Southwest about, I think, 9 times. And this was my first, and it was a period where I was not doing great in terms of mental health. But I went anyway, and I remember it was a struggle being there because my mind was sort of elsewhere. But there was one day, and I think it was 99. It was either 99 or 2000 when this story took place, but I think it was 99. We went to I don't know if you remember listen.com, but we went to the listen.com party which was run by some folks who I have subsequently become friends with. I'm not really in touch with them anymore, but folks I worked in the industry with. And I think the first band was Oranger, which was the guy from the Posies, name escaping me. And the second band were the White Stripes. And I think somebody, I'm not going to say what they were paid, but it was not a lot. And I remember everyone was really impressed, but it wasn't like something mind-blowing. But this is before anybody knew them. At least that's what I recall. And they played the Listen.com party at South by. But this show at the Bowery was different. They were sort of making a name. White Blood Cells is the record of theirs that I loved and still love. And it was a great show. About a week ago, I was watching videos of the White Stripes on YouTube, and God, how fun. They were so much fun. My friend Linda was such a huge fan. We saw them together. I think I saw the White Stripes 3 or 4 times. And I have a funny recent Jack White story. So I was in Nashville for a nonprofit that I help out 2 months ago, somewhere around there. No, it was early December. Yeah, so a month and a half-ish ago, somewhere around there. And I went to an event that we had at Brooklyn Bowl in Nashville, and then the next day I was like, I'm gonna go out to Third Man Records before I fly back home. And I went to Third Man Records. It was great. Bought a t-shirt. People there were super, super nice. It was a record lover's dream. And I asked them for a place, if they could recommend a place so I could grab a coffee, because I had to take a work call. So they recommended a place maybe half a mile away. Went to that place, sat down. I'm on my work call. The people there were so nice. I told them, I was like, hey, do you mind if you like put me back in the corner so I could take this call? And when I ordered, I remember, salad and coffee. And I'm sitting there on my work call, and I remember I'm like sitting at the table. It was like a diner style place. I'm like looking down at the table, just trying to focus on the topic, because people were starting to come in. And I just look up, and sitting right in front of me at the next table is Jack White. Like 6 feet from me. And he looks exactly the same in person as he does like on video. And I was like, I'm too old to do that. Hey, can we do a photo? I'm not gonna do that. And I sort of regret it, because I'll tell you in a second how I finished my call, and then I like, it's hard to not look at him, because he's like right there and he's looking at me. It's Jack White, right? And his demeanor, he just came off as such a nice human being, which was, what I could see. Really like kind to the servers, and just seemed like a good person. You could just feel it, right? Because I couldn't help but look a few times. And then he got up. He was with 2 other people, 2 other gentlemen. The 2 other gentlemen went first, and Jack White went second. And Jack White must have noticed that I looked at him a few times, and he just looked at me. He said, hey, how you doing? And I said, I'm doing good, Jack. Good to see you. Good to see you. And he just smiled and said something like, have a good day or something, and walked away. And I was like, that was my photo opportunity, but I'm glad I didn't do it. It was a good way to close out that meeting with Jack White. But it's a very cool moment. You know what? We're gonna do one quick one. No long, laborious? No long stories, just a quick, I went to this show, and here's a little, I just pulled out the same Tweety show. I have many more tickets. All right, we're gonna go right to the beginning. Let's see what this is. Oh, not bad. We'll do this quickly. John Cale at the Regency in San Francisco, December 9th, 2012. Tremendous show. Paris 1919 is one of my favorite records of all time. and I went with my friend Armando. I love John Cale. I'm gonna put that record on now. I just remember we were in the balcony on the right side just watching it, and I could not believe I was seeing John Cale live. So we will close with that. Thank you to my buddy over at the Todd over at the Lost Mixtapes for the idea. I'm gonna do more of these. This ran way longer than I thought it would. Hope you all have a good weekend, and I will talk to you soon.